President Trump again repeated this claim we've been hearing from him that Biden let in 25 million migrants. That's up from President Trump's former claim of 21 million, claim he made at the United Nations the other day that he has settled 7 wars. But even the examples that President Trump cited himself show that that claim is not true. President Biden said that over and over. This took me about 5 seconds to find on Google.
I have a CNN fact check of Trump's speech. Who would have thought he told a bunch of lies that I really wanted to get into and help add some context. So strap in if you can, take a second, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out with the algorithm, gives us a boost and lets us get out there to more people. And let's see what context we can add.
He also repeated his usual lie that the 2020 election involving him and Biden was rigged. Of course, he lost fair and square. He repeated this lie that he tells over and over, that the Congo and Venezuela both emptied their prisons to somehow allow prisoners to come to the United States as migrants. There was no evidence that any of that happened. President Trump's own team has never been able to offer any corroboration. And I've spoken to independent experts on both the Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Venezuela who have said they've seen nothing to support any of that. President Trump again repeated this claim we've been hearing from him that Biden let in 25 million migrants. That's up from President Trump's former claim of 21 million. Even that was false. So the actual number is less than half of that, even if you count the millions who were rapidly expelled from the country.
I mean, just politically speaking, when your base is MAGA, why would you tell the truth? Like, what motivation do these people have to be honest? And that's why you see so many lies. They'll take his word as scripture. They're not going to critically engage with any of it. They're not going to question anything. If you do, you're excised, right? And they're not going to do any research. They're going to make it such a large part of their personality, in fact, that if they are presented with evidence and research and all of this that is of the contrary, they'll reject it just on the source, right? And come up with insane conspiracies to validate these, like, oh, the entire country is against Trump, all mainstream media is against Trump, all you know what I mean? And they're everyone's scared of how he'll go after the deep state, despite him being a deep state puppet in his first term and being a deep state puppet so far in his second term. But of course, MAGA will just tell you he's tricked and none of it's his fault, but they'll blame the government, whatever it is, right? These people will never take accountability or culpability for their own side without pushing some off to somebody else and pretending, well, they do it worse.
President Trump again said that President Biden provided $350 billion worth of aid to Ukraine. That's also not even close, even generously by independent expert estimates. The actual number is about half that. And we also heard President Trump repeat this claim he made at the United Nations the other day that he has settled 7 wars. But even the examples that President Trump cited himself show that that claim is not true. For example, he mentioned the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Well, the war involving those two countries has not actually been settled. Despite a peace agreement signed under President Trump, hostilities continue. We have good reporting from the ground. CNN was there last week showing that the fighting continues. And the peace agreement that was signed under Trump did not involve the rebel coalition allegedly backed by Rwanda that's doing much of the fighting. He also mentioned Kosovo and Serbia as a supposed war he has ended. Well, they have not actually been at war under President Trump. He previously claimed that he prevented a new war from erupting. There's thin evidence even for that, but the claim that he ended an actual war between those two entities is just not correct.
And with the Ukraine aid, 90% of it never left America and thus benefited our economy. We were buying weapons from our own contractors, opening ammo facilities and such to produce the replacements, or sending it to our agencies that dole out assistance in their various ways. This is in turn fuels America's economy, right? War is unfortunately profitable. Trump knows this. I mean, he's the one adding even more to the military industrial complex in our military budget. But guys, the warmongering is sending aid to allies who are being attacked, not Trump bombing innocent countries that pose no threat to us. That's being pro-peace. And the ending wars claim is also asinine. I don't get, like, how MAGA is so willing to embarrass themselves completely and show that they don't know anything or care about the truth at all to show like this blind loyalty to Trump that he'll probably never see. Like, Trump is just doing things for optics at this point. You have where do you come from this? Do we really think that he ended a genocide? Do we really think that he's ended wars? Do we really think like his tariffs are leading to peace? Be for real.
I go around bragging about that. I said, we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. I say it. You never heard Biden say that. Never heard him say anything. But you never heard him say, did you ever hear him say, we have the strongest military? He doesn't say that. I say it.
President Biden said that over and over. This took me about 5 seconds to find on Google. One sample quote from 2023. Our U.S. military, and this is not hyperbole, I've said it for the last 2 years, is the strongest military in the history of the world, not just the strongest in the world, in the history of the world. So this is just one of many such quotes from President Biden.
I think Trump needs a line like this because the military vote is like the last constituency he's desperately trying to hang on to. Like, oh, look, at least I'm a huge military guy. I mean, it's also a big part of fascism, if we're being real. Obviously, Biden said that too, and he's just lying. And I mean, it meant more when Biden said, if we're being honest, he actually did the diplomatic work that underpins that statement, that has to underpin that statement, building our coalitions to make us stronger than other armies, calling upon allies when needed, rather than ostracizing them and pushing them away at every turn, and not putting our sons and daughters at unnecessary risk by sending them to preemptively strike countries that pose no threat to us. Meanwhile, under Trump, we've had battle plans leaked, countries preemptively bombed, and calls to invade or annex a new country, it seems, every single week. I don't get how anyone thinks this makes us safer. Like, how do you believe that? How do you think that makes our military stronger? It makes us look like jackasses on the global stage, which is why conflicts are escalating and world leaders are running circles around Trump while they're laughing at him.